This is a re-upload of the last battle with Diogo. Let's call it episode 4. And as I mentioned, winning! Well, this one, I can't see the result. No, yeah. Whatever. Well, here I got Mew. That was a win for me already. 20 years ago, I wanted a Mew. Really badly. I could never do it. Now I do. And this is the first time I used it in battle. I just EV trained it. Sorry. Now, enjoy this battle because it's really good. Now, Staraptor is usually underrated. Well, Intimidate is at least. Because Staraptor isn't bulky enough. Yeah, the reason it's called Brave Bird 1.0 is because this is pretty much the beginning of Talonflame, or rather a prototype Talonflame. At least I think of it like that. Like since in Rotom and I go for Return, my intent with going for Return was pretty much hitting anything that wasn't Scizor hard. As you can see, that did nothing. This Rotom is luckily physical, at least from what I see. Though then again, Rotom is pretty bulky on its own, so I can't really say. Here I switch out and go into Sableye thinking I can take one of anything at least. And he goes for Pain Split, so it's sort of played in my favor. I can't really say, but he couldn't get as much HP because the base HP of both Rotom and Sableye is pretty much the same at 50. So here I Mega Evolve. This Sableye is the same physically defensive Sableye I've brought every single time. I go for a knockoff and I take the Rocky Helmet damage, which is bad, but I got rid of it. Here he switches out and I go for a recover. And he sends in this stupid Florges. Diogo has taught me to hate this thing. I normally don't care. I actually used one in a white playthrough. But crap is this thing annoying. Here I go, pretty much in the Tentacruel, thinking maybe he will attack, maybe he'll go for Toxic. Either way, Tentacruel is not affected by them. I could have stayed and bounced it off though. Here he switches out into this thing, which I'm assuming is Assault Vest. Though this Tentacruel is not invested in special attack, it still didn't do that much, and I really don't remember Tornadus' special defense stat right off the top of my head. He goes for Extra Sensory, and well, you can see the damage it does. And look at how much Sludge Bomb did. That's why I'm thinking, yeah, it was kind of weird, but whatever. Here, he used U-turn, obviously getting Regenerator, and it does nothing. And this was a critical hit. And this Tentacruel is specially defensive. This thing doesn't take physical hits that well. Here for Skull, thinking maybe he'll switch and I can burn whatever. But of course I get no burn. Also, Extra Sensory has a chance to flinch, though it didn't do pretty much anything to the Tentacruel. Despite being super effective, it still has a risk. I got an Arcanine pretty much to nerf this thing's attack power. And he goes for the obvious, the Brave Bird Kamikaze attack with the Reckless. He has the Reckless ability on his Staraptor. I have Intimidate on mine. Staraptor, the ability Reckless by itself means you will be doing more damage, but obviously because recoil is based on damage, on the damage you cause to your opponent, it causes more recoil damage in return. It's a powerful ability, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Here's Rotom goes for. Here I go for Flare Blitz, thinking maybe I can do some damage to it. Maybe he switches out. No, that was a critical hit. He goes for Hydro Pump, and it hits. Which takes care of Arcanine, which was not something I wanted. But there was still some way for me to win this. I go for Mew and fire Sludge Wave, thinking maybe he'll switch into Florges or something, but no. This is Mew's debut, and I am... Just looking at Mew is great for me. Like, he goes in a Scizor. He says he thought, well, I can take a Mew. And he Mega Evolves, and Cactus mentions that in this turn, he went for Sword Dance. Much didn't set up, but... I have Flamethrower on Mew. Mew's perk over other Pokemon is particularly that it can learn pretty much any move in the game. So here in the Florges, I could have gone here. He goes into Florges, and I switch out into Mega Sableye, thinking maybe he'll go for Toxic, but he goes for Calm Mind. As I mentioned, Mew can learn pretty much every move in the game. I think there are some it can't learn, but I'm not entirely certain. There should be though. I think it doesn't learn signature moves like Sacred Fire and so on. Here he goes for Moonblast, thinking, well, yeah, +1 is gonna annihilate Sableye. In last battle, you saw the damage it did, especially one that's physical wall, not special wall. Here, this thing does nothing. And I go for Toxic. At this point, he hasn't had a Florges with Aromatherapy. I also mentioned in the Taken Down video that he has Heal Bell. The one Florges gets is Aromatherapy, which does exactly the same thing. Removes status conditions from every single one of your team members. And here I just spam Sludge Bomb, thinking about doing as much damage as I possibly can. He goes for Moonblast again, and that does nothing. Well, it does more because he's a +2 at this point. No, he's a +3. That would have been bad if Tentacruel wasn't specially defensive. And yeah, Toxic is already... He mentioned in chat that he doesn't have Aromatherapy on this thing. He does still have Synthesis, which you have seen in previous battles. He never got the stat drop either. Though here, I just decided to stay in still, thinking at some point he has to go for a Synthesis. I go for a Sludge Bomb again, thinking maybe I get a lucky crit, but I started thinking at this point when its HP reached red, that maybe I don't want it to go down, not to this thing at least. I needed to make a change, and sadly for me, I had to sacrifice something because he ended up attacking. The plan was already making a sacrifice because I can't let Dragonite come in essentially for free. I got him Mega Sableye, and he goes for the Moonblast, which takes care of the Imp. Yeah. But Florges goes down to Poison. And I get rid of this thing finally. He goes into Dragonite, and I send in Staraptor. I could have gone for Return, but I thought that both will do something to it. He sends in his own Staraptor to fall to my Brave Bird. His Staraptor also has a Choice Scarf, by the way, which is basically a speed tie. Unless his is Adamant. Mine is Jolly. The one I brought here is Jolly. Yeah, I send in Tornadus, and I send in Tentacruel pretty much as fodder. Thinking that this is a one point where I want Tentacruel to go down. I can't let Dragonite set up on my face. And yeah, here he seems to have resolved to fodder this thing, because he never switches it. I was actually expecting a switch. Here I double into Mew, predicting the switch into Dragonite, and so that I could fire an Ice Beam. And I get confused due to a Hurricane, and here I also switch. I actually make the risk of going into Chansey, because it's sending in Chansey with a Dragonite in the back has its own risk. And here, of course, he misses Hurricane, and I go for Toxic, again predicting Dragonite. The reason I'm going for Toxic is to have some pressure on it. Well, to pop the possible Lumberry and have some pressure on his Dragonite. And here it hits again, and he still survives a burn, which is actually good for me. Here's Hurricane, and he misses the Hurricane, and I go for Soft Boil, getting Chansey to full. And this is where it gets to the final play. Tornadus goes down, and he sends in his last Pokemon, which is Dragonite. Here I go into Staraptor, thinking of dropping his attack power, which does happen. And he starts setting up like I expected. I go for the Brave Bird, again thinking, doing as much damage as I possibly can to this thing, and this breaks multi-scale. And he goes for Dragon Dance again. At +2, there is no way in hell Staraptor is outspeeding regardless. Mine also has a Choice Scarf. I go into Mew to fodder it pretty much. And here I go into Chansey. My thought here is that I have to do something. And here he's already +2. And he mentioned that at +3, Chansey goes down no matter what. And he goes to the +3 here. I go for Seismic Toss again. It's pretty much the only thing I can do. And he survives. I have to switch. I go into Staraptor, then maybe he'll set up or something. But here, I do it. This drops it to -2. He mentions in the chat afterward that this was important. This Intimidate won the battle. You'll see in a moment what I mean. Chansey comes in, and he goes and is locked into Outrage. This does a crap ton of damage to Chansey. Survives at 36, and here the berry pops. And Seismic Toss wins the battle. Yeah, great game, Diogo. I'm glad of battling you. I will always enjoy it because you're really good. And yeah, this was amazing. And yeah, he mentioned in the chat that had I not gone to Staraptor, Chansey goes down. That +3 was enough to beat down Chansey, but the +2 saved it and allowed me to win. Well, thank you guys for watching. See you later.